Hey guys, my name is Nora Franch, and welcome to the podcast Grateful Blessed Mess, daily reflections for those in the 12 steps. I am a fellow 12-stepper and certified mindset coach, and I am here to introduce you to the value of mindset coaching in your 12-step journey. So if you feel like you are stuck in the steps, if you're slipping and sliding with your abstinence, mindset coaching may help you as it did me, and you can find me at catholicmindsetcoaching.com. These episodes are meant to invite you in to consider the truths of 12-step wisdom and to join in the very real struggle of living them in action. I hope that it feels almost like a mini meeting, and I invite you to contribute your own share on the Grateful Blessedness Facebook group to keep the discussion going. My comments are based on my own experience, so feel free to take what you like and leave the rest. But my hope is to encourage you on your own daily 12-step journey. As they say, you cannot stay clean on yesterday's shower. So without further ado, let's begin. Hey everyone. I said I wanted to comment on that share from the prior reading, and I'm going to do just that. So I'm going to read it again, just in case you're new or didn't hear that one, or like me, can't remember what it is 10 seconds later. Here we go. This is from Daily Reflections, page 284, the reading for October 2nd. I know the promises are being fulfilled in my life, but I want to maintain and develop them by daily application of step 10. I have learned through this step that if I am disturbed, there is something wrong with me. The other person may be wrong too, but I can only deal with my feelings. When I am hurt or upset, I have to continually look for the cause in me, and then I have to admit and correct my mistakes. It isn't easy, but as long as I know I'm progressing spiritually, I know that I can mark my effort up as a job well done. I have found that pain is a friend. It lets me know there is something wrong with my emotions, just as a physical pain lets me know there is something wrong with my body. When I take the appropriate action through the 12 steps, the pain gradually goes away. So there's 2, maybe 3 different components of this that I really want to hone in on. And the first one that we all love hearing, I'm sure, is that if I am disturbed, there is something wrong with me. And the thing about that is how many times I have found it to be true. You know, it's something that it really helps to learn this one by experience. Otherwise, you're just like, screw that. That's not true. But so it takes a little work. You got to develop some self-awareness. Your sponsor can probably help you with that. And once you see it, you're like, oh. So like I just had something happen like 30 minutes ago that this can be my step 10 on that. And I got reactive, and I became accusatory and lost my temper. And I love this second part because the other person may be wrong too. That's the part that I forget. The part of me that swings black and white, black and white thinking, not living in the gray, is that, oh, well then if there's something wrong with me, then there's nothing wrong with the other person. And that's not true either, and that's not the life we live in. And so it's really helpful, really healing for me to remember that part too, that if there's something wrong with me, that it also doesn't mean that I'm the only one at fault, which is really helpful for me as someone who tends to take on all the blame and shame and then assume that everybody else is doing it right except her. Maybe some of you can relate. I have this false idea of reality that everybody else has it figured out, that everybody else is happier than I am, that everybody else has better relationships or more self-confidence or more know-how, more intuition. And that's not the case either. But what I do know is what's going on with me. And when I do something wrong, I need to own up to it, make amends for it, and share it so that first off, I'm less inclined to want to do it again if I have to share it every single time I do it, right? That accountability is priceless. But it's also just that self-awareness and then noticing it instead of just haphazardly wandering through life and not really keeping track of things. This way we're able to kind of notice, and when we notice things, we care more about it. When we notice how messy our house is getting, we care to work harder to make it orderly and clean. And I think that's the same way about our interior lives and the steps. When we've noticed things are getting out of place or unclean, we want to clean it up. So the next part I wanted to comment on is that I have found that pain is a friend. And this is really interesting. One thing I hated hearing people say, and I might end up saying this a lot over the course of this podcast because I really hated it, when people said they were grateful, compulsive overeaters. Gross. I hated that because I was like, I'm not grateful. What's wrong with me that they could get to a place where they're happy about this? I couldn't understand it. It was beyond my capabilities. And that is something that is everybody's own journey. But for me personally, yeah, I can be grateful for my disease because it showed me the 12-step way of living. And I am someone who just didn't know how to live, didn't know how to engage spiritually with my higher power, and didn't know that the things about me that make me are good, and that there's layers that I need to dig through and work through to get to that core me that got covered up by trauma and life and choices and disease and things like that. But pain as being an indicator that just something needs to be taken care of. So like they say that the physical pain is the sign that there's something wrong in my body. This emotional pain is a sign that like something's wrong in my soul. That's where I take it. Like my psyche, my soul. Like I believe that like the emotions are where like our physical and our spiritual selves collide, right? That we feel it in our body, but we know it in our hearts, like that place where we exist that doesn't have a location really within us. It's just our core, the core of who we are. I know that's what brought me to my knees in my disease. That's what continues to bring me to my knees this day, is when emotions are hard and I don't know what to do with them. And they say here, when I take the appropriate action through the 12 steps, the pain gradually goes away. And first off, I have to know that the pain's there. So I have to be sober enough to even realize that I'm having emotional pain. And then when I uncover it, instead of being afraid of it and running away from it or just tensing because, oh God, this is going to hurt, that I have tools. I have tools to do this. And like I mentioned last time, I needed more outside help to learn more tools and to be walked through kind of how to do this, how to process it, how to face it, how to allow it. And that was extremely helpful. And in doing that, I have been able to move forward in my abstinence, in my emotional sobriety. And that is like the new frontier for me, this emotional sobriety. So I think that's why I'm spending so much time on this particular share, because it's on the topic that is just so what I am in right now and so near and dear to my heart and so painful but good at the same time. So When I take the appropriate action through the 12 steps, the pain gradually goes away. Hold on to that. That may not be one of the promises listed exactly on page, was it 86 of the big book? But that is a promise of the program. Whenever we take action in the steps, the pain gradually does start to go away. And so we can remember that when we are disturbed by someone or something outside of us, that is that signal. That's that emotional pain that, yes, there's something wrong with me, perhaps, but maybe the phrasing is just that there's something in me yet to be healed. And we can take it to the steps. We can take it to our higher power. We can take it to our sponsor. We can take it to our journal. And the pain will lessen. And we will grow in compassion for ourselves, in healing, in sobriety. We will become more intact and whole in who it is we were made to be. I firmly believe that. And I firmly believe that's true for you. And I want that for you. And I pray for that for you in this moment. So that's all I have for you today. Hang in there, guys. With that, I pass. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you feel that mindset coaching could help you on your 12-step journey, please feel free to reach out and find me at catholicmindsetcoaching.com. But more than that, it's important to me to give listeners like yourself a place where you do not need to feel alone on your 12-step journey. And for that reason, I've created a Facebook group. It's called Grateful Blessed Mess. And it's a place where listeners can go to add their own commentary on the share for the day, in addition to my own, and for us just to have a conversation or start a back and forth where people can find support in their 12-step journey. This is not a replacement for 12-step work. This is something outside of the 12 steps. It is simply something that has a heart for the 12 steps and those who are in it. And so, welcome. If you are here, chances are you may also be a bit of a mess, and I hope that you can learn to find some gratitude in the blessings that have come from your messes.